The Resilience Across Borders podcast is intended for education, support, and inspiration. I am not a psychologist or a medical doctor and do not offer any professional, medical, or health advice. If you are dealing with or suffering from any psychological or medical conditions, please seek help from a qualified health professional. Hello and welcome back to Resilience Across Borders podcast. I'm your host, Rachid. In today's episode, we will talk about identifying and managing unhealthy relationships as a part of overall well-being. So, in our journey towards personal growth and happiness, the quality of our relationships plays a crucial role. It's one of the most important things we'll ever do. While healthy relationships can be a source of joy, support, and fulfillment, unhealthy ones can drain our energy. They can undermine our self-esteem and impede our progress. Identifying relationships that are not serving us well and taking steps to limit or eliminate them is essential for our well-being. So with that said, here are some strategies to help you recognize and manage such relationships, along with practical examples and uses for each piece of advice. Number one, recognize the signs of unhealthy relationships. The first step in managing unhealthy relationships is to identify them. There are some common signs to watch for. For instance, consistent negativity. If interactions with someone consistently leave you feeling drained, anxious, or depressed, this may be a sign of an unhealthy relationship. Is the person bringing good energy into your life and interactions, or are they draining you of it, that you leave the interactions like drained and tired and exhausted? Also, if you notice lack of support, so healthy relationships involve mutual support and encouragement. If someone regularly dismisses your feelings, dismisses your goals, or dismisses your achievements, it may be time to reassess the role in your life. Another one is control and manipulation. So pay attention to any attempts to control your actions, control your decisions, or even control your emotions. Manipulative behavior is a red flag in any relationship. So there is a huge difference between positive influence and mutual accountability and manipulation. You don't need manipulation. Another obvious sign is disrespect. Of course, it's not always like sometimes for some people, it's not easy to recognize it. It takes a while to sink in because if it's not really the obvious one, but respect is a cornerstone of a healthy relationship. If someone frequently disrespects you, whether through words or actions, the relationship is likely not serving you well. Remember, you will get more of what you tolerate. If having trouble recognizing some of this or identifying it, here is an example in practice. You can take some time and journal the reflection. Spend the week noting your emotional responses after interactions with close friends, family, or colleagues. If you find someone and you find a pattern of negative feelings with a particular person, it may indicate an unhealthy relationship. Number two, set boundaries. Setting and maintaining boundaries is vital to protecting your well-being in any relationship. Clear boundaries help define what is acceptable and what is not, ensuring that your needs are respected. To do that, communicate clearly. Express your boundaries explicitly. For example, if a friend often calls late at night and disrupts your sleep, let them know that you need to stick to earlier calls. Of course, you can always put your phone on do not disturb. Be consistent. Enforce your boundaries consistently. If someone crosses a boundary, address it promptly to reinforce its importance so it doesn't keep sliding. An example, you have a boundary conversation, have an honest conversation with a friend who often, like for instance, borrows your belongings without asking or something like that. Explain that you value your personal space and need them to ask for permission before taking anything that is yours. Number three, can limit contact. Understanding that some people we can't just completely cut off, sometimes reducing the amount of time you spend with certain individuals is necessary for your mental health. This doesn't mean cutting ties completely. Again, for those that you really can't, maybe a family member, it may be, I don't know, a business colleague, but rather creating some distance to protect your well-being. You can do this with some gradual reduction. Start by gradually reducing the frequency of interactions. For instance, if you meet a toxic friend weekly, try shifting to bi-weekly or monthly meetups. And remember, quality over quantity. Focus on quality interactions rather than quantity. It's better to have one good friend than five bad ones. Engage in meaningful conversations and activities that uplift you. It's bottom line. And for instance, like you can also like, because nowadays in the days of social media, we're also getting these interactions that way too. So if a particular person's posts consistently affect your mood negatively, consider unfollowing or muting them on social media to limit exposure. Be a good guard to what goes into your brain, what goes into your mind, and what you're exposed to, because we are affected by that. Number 4, seek support. Dealing with unhealthy relationships can be challenging, especially the ones that you can't really get away from completely. Whether, again, like I mentioned earlier, a couple of examples is like if it's family or if it's someone that you must work with. So seeking support from others can make the process easier. It can be from good friends, from good parts of the family, or professional counselors can offer valuable perspectives and advice. Sometimes they can see things you can't see. So talk to trusted friends, share your concerns in a confidential and in a secure setting, someone who can provide an outside perspective and emotional support. Of course, there's always professional help. Consider seeking help from a therapist or a counselor who can guide you through the process of managing difficult relationships. There's also support groups. So again, these are situations where you're like really, it's not just someone you can just like completely cut off. So join a support group where members share similar experiences. This can provide a sense of community, practical advice, and sanity check, and advice overall on handling and experience shares on handling unhealthy relationships. Number 5, completely eliminate toxic relationships. In some cases, the best course of action is to completely sever ties with a toxic individual. This decision is often difficult but necessary for your long-term health and happiness. And sometimes you need to have that final conversation. So if it's possible, have a final conversation to explain your decision. Be firm and respectful, focusing on your need to prioritize your well-being. Remember, some people you don't even owe this to, and especially if it's going to be another source of pain or great discomfort to you. And then following that, then you can go no contact. After ending the relationship, implement a no contact rule to avoid reopening old wounds. This includes not responding to messages or attempts to reconnect. Just make sure this negative person doesn't reel you back in. Again, you don't owe this to some people, but if you need to, it makes you feel better. There's also, you can write a letter. Face-to-face conversation is too daunting. Write a letter to the person explaining your decision. This allows you to express your thoughts clearly without the pressure of an immediate response or getting sucked into unnecessary arguments or go back and forth. So anyways, to conclude, identifying and managing unhealthy relationships is a crucial step toward a healthier and happier life. By recognizing the signs of toxicity, setting boundaries, limiting contact, seeking support, and when necessary, eliminating completely toxic relationships, you can create a more positive and supportive social environment. Remember, prioritizing your well-being is not selfish. It's essential for your overall growth and happiness. As always, thank you for tuning into the Resilience Across Borders podcast. If you are enjoying this podcast and finding it helpful to you, please pick up a copy of the companion journal by yours truly called Emo Gym on Amazon. You can follow the blog posts and new episodes as they get added at this URL at resilience.com. Remember to be kind to yourself and be kind to others and stay resilient.